Hello everyone, bonjour à tous. Welcome back to the French Made Easy podcast. This is episode number 146, numéro 146. Today we are talking about negation, and I already created an episode on how to form negative sentences a few years ago, episode number 36. But today we dive a little bit deeper into this topic. So consider this episode on negation part 2. And if you haven't listened to part 1 yet, please do so before you listen to this episode. I will put a link in the notes. It's going to give you the important basics of negation, which you need to know before listening to this lesson. Now, as usual, if you are new to the podcast, welcome. Make sure you have your lessons cheat sheet in front of you so you can listen to the words and see how they are written. And when you finish this lesson, head over to the French Made Easy exercise library to download your lessons exercises and practice what you've learned today. You'll find all the download links in the episode notes on your podcast platform. All right, so as I said earlier, I hope you listened to the first episode on negation. Otherwise, this lesson is not going to make much sense, but I will give you a very brief, short recap. So in part 1, episode 36, we learned that to create negative sentences, we use the little French words ne, N-E, and pas, P-A-S. Ne goes before the conjugated verb in negative sentences, and pas goes after the conjugated verb. So let me give you some examples. I will start with the affirmative sentence and then we'll make it negative. Je mange. I eat becomes je ne mange pas. I don't eat. We have ne before the conjugated verb mange, and we have pas after the conjugated verb. Je ne mange pas. Another example, tu parles français. You speak French becomes tu ne parles pas français. You do not speak French. The little word ne comes before the conjugated verb, parle, and pas comes after the conjugated verb. Tu ne parles pas français. You do not speak French. All right, so that's the very basics of negation. Now, sometimes you need to be a little bit more specific with your negation, right? Sometimes not is just not enough, and you need to be a little bit more precise with words like never or nothing or no one, etc. And to do that, you need to replace the little word pas with other words. And that's exactly what we're going to learn to do today. So let me give you a list of other ways to express negation. And of course, I'll give you examples. All right. So to say never, you replace the word pas with the word jamais. Ne, jamais. For example, if we have I don't eat meat, je ne mange pas de viande, you replace pas with jamais to say never. It becomes je ne mange jamais de viande. I never eat meat. Je ne mange jamais de viande. So we started with je ne mange pas de viande. I don't eat meat. We replaced pas with jamais. Becomes je ne mange jamais de viande. I never eat meat. Now, side note, you still need to keep that little word ne, right? Technically, you can't just have the word jamais by itself. You need the little word ne as well. But we tend to, when we speak in spoken French, we tend to omit the ne, the little word ne. So you will often hear, instead of je ne mange jamais de viande, we would say very quickly, je mange jamais de viande. I never eat meat. Je mange jamais de viande. So I've removed the little word ne in spoken French. Now, technically, it's still incorrect not to write it, but it is up to you. I always say, I teach you the French rules, the French grammar rules, the French pronunciation rules. And then when you are comfortable enough with the rules, then you can break the rules and play with the rules. But it is up to you. I think it's good practice for you, for beginners, to use the word ne, to say it and write it. And then when you're comfortable with it, you can just skip it, right? But know that in writing, though, it is incorrect not to write it. All right, so let's move on to another negative word. To say no longer or no more, replace pas with the word plus. For example, il ne travaille pas ici. It doesn't work here. Replace the word pas with the word plus. It becomes il ne travaille plus ici. He no longer works here. So il ne travaille pas ici. He doesn't work here. Becomes il ne travaille plus ici. He no longer works here. To say nothing or not anything. Ne, rien. Replace pas with rien. For example, je ne vois pas. I don't see. Becomes je ne vois rien. I see nothing or I don't see anything. Je ne vois rien. To say nobody or no one, use ne, personne. For example, je ne connais personne ici. I know nobody or I know no one here. Je ne connais personne ici. To say none or not any, use ne aucun or ne aucune, depending on the gender. So aucun or aucune, depending on the gender of the noun, right? Il n'a pas d'amis. He has no friend. Il n'a pas d'amis. Becomes il n'a aucun ami. He hasn't got any friends. Masculine. Or il n'a aucune amie. He hasn't got any friends. Feminine. So il n'a aucun ami or il n'a aucune amie. Now, to say nowhere or not anywhere, use ne, nulle part. Par exemple, il ne va nulle part. He goes nowhere or he doesn't go anywhere. Il ne va nulle part. Last one, this one is made with 3 words and it's used to negate 2 or more things at the same time. And that's to say neither, nor, ne, ni, ni. For example, he doesn't eat meat and doesn't eat fish. Il ne mange pas de viande et pas de poisson. It becomes, il ne mange ni viande ni poisson. He eats neither meat nor fish. Il ne mange ni viande ni poisson. He eats neither meat nor fish. And that's it for our negative expressions. Now I'll give you a quick recap before we wrap up this episode. Ne jamais means never. Je ne mange jamais de viande. Ne plus means no longer or no more. Il ne travaille plus ici. Ne rien means nothing or not anything. Je ne vois rien. Ne personne means nobody or no one. Je ne connais personne ici. Ne aucun or ne aucune means none or not any. Il n'a aucun ami or il n'a aucune amie. Ne nulle part means nowhere or not anywhere. Il ne va nulle part. Ne ni means neither nor. Il ne mange ni viande ni poisson. And that is all for today's lesson on negation, part 2. I hope you enjoyed it. Now it's time to head over to the French Made Easy exercise library to practice what you have learned today. I will chat with you next week. À bientôt. Bye.